Oscar Piastri triumphs at the Spanish Grand Prix amid Max Verstappen drama. This is Shifting Happens. Hello, everybody. My name is BaxtyB, and welcome back to Shifting Happens. I'm delighted to say that I am joined by Rory, and working diligently, as always, in the background, we've got our wonderful producer, Fly, and I believe AJ will join us at some point. I'm not going to make any promises on that front. We've got to talk about the Spanish Grand Prix. It was won by Oscar Piastri, ahead of Lando Norris, ahead of Charles Leclerc. We're going to talk all about that, but we're going to talk about the big, hot topic. It was the Max Verstappen, George Russell incident at the end of the race. Max Verstappen was given a 10-second time penalty. So after finishing 5th on the road, he finished 10th overall, losing a chunk of points to the McLarens. He's now 49 points back in the championship. Rory, your take on this incident, and should he have been disqualified?
I don't think he should have been disqualified. I think he got them. I think the penalty at the time, maybe if I was thinking, he should have got a drive-through instead. We've seen Monaco, George Russell get a drive-through for something even more lenient or less of an extent of cutting a corner. I think a drive-through would have been fair. He would have gone back to the grid, and he wouldn't have scored points at all. With the disqualification thing, my only thing is, say another driver did it, are we saying the same thing, or is this just on the reputation of Max Verstappen? But I'm happy. I think overall the incident, it was blatant that he got angered by something, and his emotions got the better of him, and he went in and saw a side pod and said "nom." And thankfully Russell didn't have damage that he had to retire from the race. But no, I'm happy that when I saw the post-race document, I wanted to see how much penalty points he got, and he got 3 penalty points, which he's now 1 away from a race ban, and he has 3 races to survive a race ban. And I'm pretty much happy in the sense that he got the maximum penalty points, and he has to be a good boy until Austria, because if he doesn't, because of how the penalty point system works, he has the 2 penalty points from Austria last year when he hit Lando, so that has to lapse, and once Austria's over, his 2 points will be rescinded, and he goes down to 9 points. He goes down to 9 points. So yeah. I don't think he should have been disqualified. I'm just happy. I think he should have got maybe a harsher penalty mid-race, or ended race. Sorry.
So you'll be unsurprised to know that I completely disagree with you.
That's fair.
So just so everyone knows where we're at. If you didn't watch the race, then first of all, why are you here? Because we're going to be talking a foreign language to you. But basically, after the safety car restart, he has a horror show out the last corner. Charles Leclerc overtakes him. They make contact. And then George Russell decides to send one up the inside into turn 1. He understeers, forces Max off the road. And then Red Bull inexplicably say to Max, you should give the position up to George. And whilst doing that, he then decides to just drive straight back past George and give him a receipt a la Lando Norris last year in Mexico. Obviously, George wasn't very happy about it. Neither was the stewards, because they gave him a 10-second penalty. Nico Rosberg on the commentary saying that it should have been a black flag for disqualification, which I completely agree with. This was using your car as a weapon to signal your dissatisfaction at a situation which had nothing really to do with George Russell. I mean, okay, look, George, yes, had sent one up the inside, but it wasn't his fault that Red Bull had told them to give the place. Red Bull had made a decision. They thought that Max might get a penalty for it, which they then concluded he wouldn't have got a penalty for it. So Red Bull didn't need to do that. But this was just impetuousness. It was red mist, which we often see from Max, which people like from him. I don't personally like it. But this was Yeah, people. I said, and Shez said this as well, that Michael got disqualified from a world championship for less. Michael Schumacher. This is in '97, and when we say less, it was that yes, Michael deliberately drove into Jacques, but it was in the process of racing that happened. Whereas this felt just like a moment of madness where he just went, "Oh, I'm just going to drive into you because I'm annoyed at you." And it's like that's worse. Like, and for me, the 10-second penalty doesn't go far enough. I mean, if you go back, to 2017 when Sebastian Vettel deliberately hit Lewis behind the safety car because he was unhappy at a brake check in inverted commas, and they gave him a 10-second stop and go, which for that instant behind the safety car was the correct penalty. Whereas for me, I felt like this was, you can see here, it's deliberate. He has deliberately gone to hit George to kind of say, I'm not happy with you. And it was dangerous. It was reckless. Yes, Red Bull, felt that it was, he made a mistake and he was pissed off with Red Bull, but I'm sorry, this is unacceptable. And for a world champion to do this, just no. I'd delight to say AJ has joined us. So AJ, how are you doing, my friend? And what's your take on the Verstappen incident?
I'm good, man. How are you guys? Sorry, I'm running a bit late today. But yeah, in terms of the Max incident, what incident? I didn't see anything happen. I think it was perfectly fine. It was an accident, no? He didn't mean to do anything. Just like how Max never means to do anything that he does on track. There's never any overreaction, which again we see all the time to situations. Of course, blame should go to Red Bull, but we should also hold Max accountable for what he did. There's nothing new there. He has done this time and time again. Maybe not this specifically, but other versions of this in his own way. Before he even did this, he was complaining about the contact and the way that Charles and George were driving. But in reality, that's what he does when he's on track and he's not penalized for it. But when it's done back to him, he's like, oh, they shouldn't be touching me the way they're touching me right now. This is not fair racing. And then he goes ahead to whine about it. And after that, he pulls the move that he does on George. That is a Max problem, not a Red Bull problem. Although Red Bull have their own set of accountability to take for infuriating Max further, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's an example yet again of his impetuousness. We saw it on a number of occasions last year. We saw it in Hungary when things weren't going his way. We saw it in Mexico, when he felt like he'd been aggrieved by Lando and gave him a receipt on the way through, which led to a second 10-second penalty. And yeah,
it's not new behavior.
No, it's not. No. I feel like this is Michael, but to a whole nother level. Like Michael would sort of race you as hard as he would, but then shake your hand afterwards.
It's not just Michael though; it's Michael and Senna. That's what people tend to forget. People,
but that's the thing. Like they would race you hard on track, but it would be in the process of racing.
Yeah.
And whereas Max did it to a guy that he wasn't fighting. Like that's the thing. He wasn't fighting George. Like it was. Your fight is with the McLarens up the road, and you've already lost that battle, despite Red Bull's brilliant strategy to get you there. Okay, they then completely undid that by putting you on hard tires, and we can talk about that. But this is a whole new level of impetuousness to me, and going and using your car as a weapon essentially to I don't know what, to intimidate, to. I don't even understand the logic behind it.
Here's the thing, BaxtyB. He's not the first to do it, right? As much as I hate it, don't get me wrong. I will condemn it and I will always condemn it, right? But he's not the first to have done it. We've seen I'm trying not to be too crude here, but we've seen things like that happen through the years, numerous times through the years, by world champions. Right? It's not new behavior. Schumacher has done it, Michael. Senna has done it. Sebastian has been guilty of it. Like it's not new behavior to be angry and showing it on track. People will always turn back to what Schumacher did. Now, that's not absolving them of blame. You have to hold them accountable. But it's been done before, right? And why I get all the criticism Max is getting, and rightfully so. But isn't there like a little tinge of hypocrisy that people are singing so much praises of Senna and Schumacher without talking about these things that they themselves used to do? But we are hounding Max for it.
I feel like there is a healthy sort of conversation that goes alongside. I mean, certainly Damon Hill fans and wizened old British fans, you just have to ask Cam and Shez, don't mention Adelaide 94 around them. Yeah. They start coming out in a cold sweat when you talk about that. And I think Senna, yeah, of course, you have to talk about 90 and what happened there. You can't not. But as I said earlier, like they were aggressive on the track. And for the most part,
Schumi got aggressive physically in person. Remember the situation with, I think it was DC? Was it DC? Was it
yes,
DC or was
that
it
was
Nika?
It was DC after you're talking Spa 98, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
so
they've gotten aggressive post race as well. Like
that's adrenaline though. Like and I get, look, as I said, Max has also admitted fault in the most politician way possible. But this just felt on another level because they weren't racing. It was, I'm just gonna give you a little shove because I'm annoyed at you. Whereas I always felt like Michael and Ayrton did it when they were racing their opponent. That's the difference for me.
They also did it when they knew championships were on the line.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
This is not to defend what they did, but they did it when it was actively affecting the championship.
Yeah, like, okay, he was going to lose points to the McLaren, but he would still be in it. But 49 points is a mountain to climb, and given the form and the pace of the McLarens, it's going to be hard to catch that up. I'm just going to come to a comment that we've got.
It's not over yet. I will still say it's not over yet.
No, it's not. It's not. And Max chasing Oscar and Lando is a very different proposition to Lando chasing Max last year, for sure. Yeah. Just a comment here from Slipstream Merchant saying, how can you call for a disqualification when the precedent is Vettel in Baku? As I explained, the punishment for Vettel was correct because it was under a safety car and it wasn't at any form of major racing speed. Yes, they were going into a corner, so it was slower, but it was still under racing conditions. It was still under green flag conditions. Like, you can't be doing that. That's just not on under any circumstances. So that's why I'm calling for the disqualification. As did Nico Rosberg. He cited the Marquez Valentino Rossi example from, I think it was the 2015 Malaysian Grand Prix, I think, when Rossi kicked Marquez off the bike and was rightfully punished for it. Well, you can, depending on who you ask in that situation.
But I'm just having vivid like flashbacks of videos from that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even a MotoGP guy, and I remember reading about that as chaos. But yeah, and that's why I just found this whole thing ridiculous. Like, Max is a 4-time world champion. And I thought his interview with Rachel Brooks afterwards was a disgrace. Kind of just the unapologetic.
Really,
I don't care.
Are we really surprised now, BaxtyB? Like, come on! Like, at the end of the day, at this point, we're going to have to call it out and just not be surprised with it. Because the thing with Max is we're always going to run around in circles. Is he a great driver? Yes, he is. But he's also a petulant child who throws his rattle or his milk bottle out of the cradle whenever things don't go his way and when he's pissed. That is Max.
Yeah, it's why I personally wouldn't go for him. Like, what if I was Toto Wolff? I wouldn't be jumping through hoops to try and sign him because he's just like brilliant driver, but look at everything else that comes with it.
Child.
Yeah,
He's
I wouldn't want that in the
child.
team. Yeah,
like
so. Like, if it was just based purely on performance, it's like, yeah, you have to go for Max. Like, of course you do.
Yeah.
But everything else that comes with it, and with the way that Mercedes operate by wanting to have the two best drivers available to them, even if it's Kimi or George in the other car, they're going to try and challenge Max. And Max isn't going to like it. And then it's going to be 10 times worse. So, Rory, do you want to come in on this side?
I hear your points on disqualification. Like, I'm not saying I don't condone what Max has done. I want to condone. Like, it's not. He shouldn't be doing that in the first place. I just don't think it was. I feel like he got the necessary penalty, and the penalty point will have an impact on Max because he knows. Like, if he does something, he gets a race ban. I think Max, how he's been speaking in the media, he'd probably take a race ban, and he would laugh off. I did watch that interview. I did find it that it was a typical Max Verstappen interview after an incident. I'm surprised he talked to Sky Sports.
Yeah.
I thought I felt like he was going to boycott him. He was even late to the TV pen. He took a bit of half an hour late to the TV pen. It was reported by the Dutch media that he took some time to supposedly debrief. Now, with the statement he released this morning, I'm of the opinion he did write that because Max does not have a PR team. He has a manager, but all his socials are done by him. You may think that's he doesn't, but he writes everything. He controls his Instagram and
that's fine. I've got no issue with that. Yeah.
No, but I think that statement was the closest we were going to get. Like you said, back to like a political statement. Like, it's the closest we're going to get that he said it was intentional. Like, he's not going. He said. I think he said in the most Max Verstappen way, which is the point. But no, I, for me, it just when I watched it, of course, I was watching a group of friends, and like I said, like, what is he doing? But when I saw that reaction, it wasn't. I just said, like, it's not. I'm still nothing's changed from that. It's disqualification because when I saw that penalty point, I said he's got the maximum penalty points possible, and I'm happy with that.
I mean, yes.
And the funny thing is, like, he wouldn't have got penalised because the steward said in the document Max got to the apex, which is the racing rules. Unfortunately,
that's on Red Bull. That's on Red Bull. Yeah.
But I find that, but it's also we would criticize Red Bull in the sense it's hindsight, I know, but it's criticized if Red Bull didn't say anything to Max. Like, Max has done this before when they haven't said. But I think the moment this started for Max was when he was putting the hard tires. I don't think it was the radio message to GP. I think that was probably a catalyst that happened. But once Max went on those hard tires, I think he was on head loss.
Yeah, it was completely head loss. It was three things in one, wasn't it? Four. The mistake, the collision with Charles, the George hitting him and forcing him off.
Was that even really a collision?
Well, the George one. No, he tapped him off, and that the reason why they didn't penalise Max was because they judged correctly that George had lost control of his car, so therefore forced him off. Force majeure, essentially. And obviously there was the disaster of the hard tires as well. Like, it's understandable you're going to be pissed off. You don't then park your car towards another driver. That's just ridiculous.
No, but also in that same grain though, BaxtyB, I think I will back Rory up on this, where disqualification maybe not, because he did receive the maximum severity of penalty points. That being said, I think Max also knew that what he was doing wasn't going to be detrimental in any way, in terms of safety-wise. Just because if you take a look at that again, you can see that was a very, very slow corner. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing and knew that it wasn't going to inflict any issues.
Well,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that's no excuse. Excuse.
I'm not excusing it. I'm just rationalizing and explaining it.
Yeah.
But I also would like to highlight what Slipstream did mention in terms of Sky. Dude, I don't understand
I was
why
just going to
people
bring
watch
this up.
Sky. I do not understand why people still watch Sky. Sky is full of... I don't even want to get on it. Like, just don't waste your time with when Sky starts talking. Just block it out. Tune it out.
I have no choice. I have to watch Sky.
Just tune it out. They are full of nonsense.
No, I disagree with what Slipstream Merchant here says. So this is what he said. He said her questions were this is Rachel Brooks, by the way, for the avoidance of doubt. Her questions were a disgrace, mentioning kids watching. She was trying to provoke a reaction out of him. Sky have a major British bias issue with how they try and antagonize Max. Max was in the wrong, but Rachel was trying to stick the knife in and twist it. Completely disagree. She's a journalist doing her job. That is literally the job of a journalist, to ask questions. And I don't think she was the only one that used that line on him. Because I think there were a lot of people that were very disappointed with him for the incident. So sorry, Slipstream Merchant, that's a complete hard disagree there from me. I don't know how you guys feel, but journalists.
Agree, but let go fly, man.
Yeah, Fly, if you want to come in on this, because I see you.
Yeah, thank you guys. No, so the only thing I wanted to say is that I find it intriguing on how this all started with Max, and let's also put in perspective, of course, the hard tires go on when he didn't have any pair. He didn't even know the hard tire was going to come on, right? So that already got him boiled. A couple laps before, he's giving the finger at Berman because even though that whole situation, it actually benefited him in the moment, he's getting upset because the back markers are racing for the last and final position for points. I mean, dude, I get that you're upset. You're trailing, I think it was Lando, but those guys are also battling for the final position for points. And
Behrman took a penalty for that as well.
And Behrman took a penalty for that as well. But then at the same time, harm was done with that.
Like, I think Behrman, he could have done better in that situation. On my personal, I think compared to the other drivers in that situation, they got out of the way quicker. Like,
I also feel though, Rory, that but I also feel like Rory that Behrman had cooked his tires already with Lawson in that battle. That by the time it got to Max, bro, he had literally no grip on his tires anymore.
Yeah,
and
that's
but again, that's a huge hearsay. And then the situation happens after the tire situation. He feels that Charles bumped into him, and he's saying he needs to give that position back. That's the part that I don't think people are much talking about. He was complaining about Charles. And Crofty goes, I don't think he realizes it, but it was George that hit him. No, Crofty, he's explicitly saying, give the position back. George was never ahead of Max. It was Charles Leclerc. So he's complaining that he got hit on the straight, and then he comes back and he says, well, he has to give the position back. And of course, the whole, at turn one, the things happen with George. But I feel like Crofty kind of instigated it more. Oh, it's Max and George again. And then obviously the collision occurs. And it's like, oh, here we go again. We know the history between these two. So that to me was very poor. I don't know the proper word for it. And I feel like also having Nico Rosberg next to him didn't help the situation. Like, let's dramatize it more, right? Let's just go ahead. Let's just go ahead and talk about how, wow, Max did that on purpose. Oh my God, that has to be a black flag. Black flag, like, dude, you can't, and so you get the wrong information, and then it all starts with that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's going to stir up everything. And of course, it's Sky Sports. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. I thought Nico, as I said, I agreed with Nico's assessment. I mean, Nico has raced Max. He understands it. Sensationalist Sky Sports, says literally imagine. They can be a bit sensationalist, but they also know what the story is. So, they know how to sell a story. Like
BaxtyB, they knew what they were doing, put that QR code up. Like at the.
Of course they did.
I just do not trust Sky, man. Like,
I don't have a choice, bro.
Here's my issue with sports journalism. Majority of places, but if we're talking like I see a lot of Spanish media, I see a lot of Sky, and I see a lot of
we're complaining about Sky and DAZN exist. Come on, like
it's oh my lord, like just
this is not true journalism. I want to put this out there. That is poking fires and just overly sensationalizing bullcrap to make whatever agenda they want to go float.
I mean, to be fair, this isn't bullcrap. What we're talking about. This is an isolated incident. I appreciate. Though I will say, Max does seem to have an issue with British drivers because he's beefed with Lewis. Still beefed with Lewis. He's
fine
beefed
with Alex.
George. He's beefed with Lando. He's flipped the bird at Ollie Behrman.
But he's fine with Alex.
Yeah, but yes, but Alex is also
tied. AJ, they're never near each other during an F1 dinner.
Well, this is true.
You never see them playing. Was it pickleball? Like, come on, man, you can't say that.
The thing with Lando is, I think with Lando is that Max and Lando are actually friends. They will get pissed at each other, but they're actually genuinely friends. With George and Lewis, they're not friends. They'll be nice in front of the cameras, but I don't think they get along.
I think George and Lewis are fine with each other. Oh, do you mean with
Max? Max with George and Lewis. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's understandable.
I am so sorry to cut you off because I have to take him back. I do want to respond to Slipstream's comment about the questions that they're asked to ask. So I'm a part of the F1 hobby. I collect cards of F1, especially F1. I could tell you this right now. Joining a break last night with kids that are in their teens and the younger generation that's behind me, Max Verstappen was the main topic, right? And these kids collect his cards worth a lot of money. So this was the main topic. So I don't have an issue with the question that was asked because Max has a big influence on this F1 world going forward.
Fair enough. That's actually a pretty good point.
That's a fair point. That's a really fair point. It is the way it is. And it's just I mean, we could talk about this all night, couldn't we? I mean, this could literally take up the entire episode, but
it's already taken up like 30 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the nature of the game. Like when you have an incident like this, if we were doing this in 2016. After this race, we wouldn't be talking about young 18-year-old Max Verstappen becomes the youngest race winner ever. We're talking about Rosberg and Hamilton taking each other out.
Yeah.
In fact, before we move on to McLaren, I will say I think Red Bull deserve a lot of criticism here because they managed it. We've kind of alluded to it, but after having an absolutely brilliant strategic race, and that's what it was brilliant. I thought the 3-stop was a magnificent strategy because you're like, we can't beat the McLarens on a 2-stop, so let's try and get them with fresh tyres. Credit to Randy Singh and McLaren. They countered it beautifully by pitting Lando to counter Max, and that made Max's life basically impossible at that point. But I personally think, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, that Red Bull probably should have left Max out. Because I think even on warm tyres, I think Max could at best scam a P2. Because I think Oscar would get him. Like, Max defending will defend for his life. We know that. And we know that he's a magnificent defender when he chooses to be. We saw that in Austin last year. But I think Oscar probably gets him. I think he could have kept Lando behind him, definitely. And I think he could have got there. I don't know what you guys think. So the first question is, do you pit Max Verstappen? And if you don't pit him, do you back him to at least get on the podium by firm defending? And we'll go to AJ first.
Sorry, could you repeat that, please?
So, do you pit Max in that situation, knowing that you've only got hard tyres to put on his car that are basically useless? And do you back him to get a podium in that situation?
Honestly, I think regardless of what you do, either way, he's screwed. There's no two ways about it. Because everyone else is gonna have better tires. going in on the hards would have been, I think, damage limitation at that point, because you at least have fresh treads and you've got a couple of laps to get it into temp, so you don't lose as many positions, which is what I think Red Bull had in mind. Because if they had stuck out on the softs, those softs would have grained and sort of like degraded enough to a point where a lot of the other cars would have caught up and slipped by him, because they have fresher grip on their tires. So moving on to the hards, if I were to think about it objectively, it is the safe option. Again, for damage limitation, because they weren't expecting a safety car. That was just fully to prevent, in my opinion, it was to prevent dropping below fifth.
I don't.
That's how I see it, because I don't think the sauce would have lasted to be able to compete with the others.
Yeah. So you're saying, you think they were right to pit him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they don't, so my next question is, if you don't pit him,
Yeah.
do you back him to get a podium in that
No.
situation?
No.
No. Okay.
No, 100% no. That's why I went and backed them with the hards, because with the hards, you are, again, it's damage limitation. On those softs, there's no way he's staying on the podium. Not with the pace the McLarens had, despite him being in first. Not with the pace that Charles had in the car, and not with George there as well. There's no way he maintains top three, because when you have the restart, his softs would have been what at that point 11 laps old. At the point of the restart, those softs would have been over 11 laps old. The rest of them would have had fresh tires.
Okay.
They would have made light work of it. That's my logic. Especially if you're looking at the top 5, they would have made light work of it.
Okay. So before I come to Rory, I've actually put a poll into the chat for those of you that are watching. Very simple question. Do you pit Max Verstappen under the safety car? Please go and vote on that poll, and we'll analyze it at the end of the episode. Rory, your view. So we'll try again. Do you pit Max Verstappen, and would you have backed him under the defense to at least get a podium? So AJ said no. I said yes. I think he would at least get max P2, maybe P3, but
yeah. I know it's all in hindsight. In hindsight, I would have kept Max in the pits. No, sorry, I wouldn't pit them, because I think
you wouldn't have pitted him,
because there was a long safety car and his tires would have been like he would have been able to maintain the tires. It would have tire saved. He wasn't pushing. Now, if it was a short safety car, I would still have brought him in, because everyone else that was behind would have gone on fresh softs. I know the McLarens had fresh softs available. Max only had used. If he did, between the hard, Red Bull could have put on another soft, but they did 4 qualifying laps on them, so they were still worn. It was just the tire allocation didn't help Max, because he was going for that 3-stop in the end, or the 2-stop, how he did it. But I would have liked because no one wanted to use the hard tire in the race. The hard tire was a dud. They saw the tie in practice, and it wasn't going to be great. The medium tire was kind of the best tire to be on, and Max only had one set of those, and he had plenty. He started on new soft, went into a new medium, and went into new soft, and like that. But yeah, I think I'm in the camp that if I'm more in the camp because of seeing how the safety car played out, not to pit him. But I think Red Bull had no choice instead to pit him, and they had no choice in which tires to put him on, because just the tire allocation.
Can I actually piggyback off what Rory said? Now, in the event they had done a soft medium on Max, I would be inclined to leave him out, because I think the mediums he would have been fine with it, not on the softs. with everyone
Yeah.
else on fresh threads, if that makes sense. The only reason I say yes, they made the right decision to bring him in was because he was on the softs. Had he been on the
Oh, yeah,
mediums at that point in time, I'd be like, no, keep him out. He's going to get you a podium.
Yeah, like, so we saw Hulkenberg, and not Hulkenberg driving Sauber, but he died like nearly like 35 laps on the mediums.
Yeah.
That's how he got in such a good position, because he was able to run long.
Yeah.
But no, on to your second question, Baxty, where if he, because I'm saying he's staying out, where does he keep on to? I think the McLaren stay 1-2. I think McLaren just had the pace all weekend, because I think Max, he would have tried to fight it for 2 laps or so with Lando. I think Piastri would have got past, no problem. I think Lando, he would have fought with him, and there might have been a bit of contact, a bit of like racing, but I do think Max would have got dropped. He could have got third, but I could see him finishing fourth, unless, depending, because the Red Bull this year, even though it's a decent car when it's in the window, it's Red Bull's kind of done the whole thing that they flipped their tires saving philosophy. The early cars to this regulation were tire savers. Now the car, whatever they've done to this car, it just munches tires. So I think Verstappen, he could have done all he wanted, but I think he might have got swarmed up and lost points. Like, he would have, like, of course, like, he wasn't going like with the incident, but like, he could have finished 4th or 5th. I think Leclerc could have got him, or Russell could have got him. But,
yeah, okay, that's fair. What about you, Fly?
I mean, I think Slipstream kind of said it was 5 laps behind the safety car. So to ask 11-year-old soft tires in that type of condition, all of a sudden to get cooled down for 5 laps and all of a sudden go fast, I mean, it would have probably not been good for him regardless towards the end of the race. But I think in the mix of not telling him that those were hards, and let's not forget, and this is the most frustrating part about Max Verstappen, he saved that car from getting into the wall, right? That takes skill. That is not taught. And that's the sad part about this whole situation when we think about what happened. That this man literally, he's one of the best at what he does for a reason. And he saves that car on tires that he didn't know that were even on his car. And, so, I think if it's Max Verstappen, you probably could tell yourself whether if it's softs at 11 laps with 5+ behind the safety car is fine, just as hard tires, brand new. But if you're asking me, I would have probably left him out. But again, it's 5 laps behind a safety car, right? So knowing now that it was 5 laps, I would have said to bring him in. But of course, we would never know if it was 5 laps or 2 laps less. And I think what AJ brought up was great. If it was, soft, medium, or S, if he had that last pair of mediums, though, for sure you bring him in without any question, because you saw how good that Red Bull was even after a lap of just cooling. But yeah, I would have still brought him in, because again, you never know if the safety car is going to be out there for a lap or 5 laps. And yesterday is out there for 5 laps for a car that wasn't even on track, really, right? It was all the way by the barrier. But yeah, I would have still pitted.
Yeah, it did take a while to clean that up, but obviously you got to let the marshals do their thing. So
and as well with the lap car procedure, you have to allow a lap afterwards.
I'll be honest with you, I thought that they did 2 laps for that, and I felt like they'd got far enough ahead that you could have restarted the race. Yeah, I thought that was a bit odd, but yeah. Anyway, we're not going to speak solely on Max Verstappen and George Russell. We do have a race winner to talk about, and that is our championship leader, Oscar Piastri. He has extended his lead at the top of the championship to 10 points ahead of his teammate Lando Norris. They finished 1-2, I think, for the 2nd or 3rd time this year.
Third time this year.
3rd time this year, yeah. Lando had a bad start, lost out to Max, but passed him later on and was under pressure from George Russell, but crucially held on. Whereas Oscar got probably one of the best starts of his career, just drove off into the distance, and in that long run down to turn 1, mightily impressive. Rory, Oscar Piastri, do you think he's starting to assert himself now as the number 1 driver at McLaren at this point in time?
No, I still think this championship has a long way to go. It's between the 2 McLaren drivers. I'm certain that it's between the 2 McLaren drivers, and then a bar fight between Max and whoever wants to go for 3rd place. No, I think it's a 1-2 in the championship. I just don't. it's Piastri is asserting himself in that title charge. Like in a title charge, he's won 5 of the last 9 races. Like that is a title charge. It's just that unless something happens, like he has a mechanical DNF or something happens that like that. But Lando is still close. Like he's only is he 3 points behind Oscar?
10.
10, sorry. But like Lando has also been consistent that he hasn't finished lower than 4th or 5th in this season. Like he is consistently like I've criticized him. We have all criticized Lando in the sense of not getting the performance that he should. But he's gotten the podium and he's kept himself in it. Like we could look back at the end of the season and see, is Australia the reason that Oscar loses his championship for that going off in the grass and having to losing fight for the win? But yeah, I think it's Oscar's putting himself in a good position. I just think Lando is still consistent there. He will pick up if Piastri makes a mistake or the vice versa. But I think it's just between the 2 McLaren drivers at the moment that I just don't know who's going to win it. We'll have to see. I want the summer break. Probably give us a clearer picture, but I think it could go down to the wire with these 2 drivers.
What are your thoughts on this, AJ? Do you think Oscar has established himself as the number 1, or is it still way too close to call?
So, you know my takes on this in general when trying to pick out like what the odds are and stuff like that. I tend to err on the side of like, let's be patient and wait it out, because I don't like jumping the gun on things. That being said, I still don't think there's a clear number 1 right now between Oscar and Lando, even though Oscar has proved that he is in the driver's seat for the championship. But then again, that goes without saying, because we've spoken about how Oscar has that quote unquote it factor that a lot of drivers don't have. He has that it factor that you need to become a world drivers champion, right? He has what it takes, and I think he is the front runner for sure. But that being said, it's not over yet. There's a long way to go. Lando does have to buck up if he wants to win a championship. He does have to step it up if he wants to win a championship, because I do not trust McLaren at all. I do not trust the McLaren pit wall at all to be able to manage, a fair fight between the 2 drivers. If Lando wants the championship, he's going to have to get his elbows out against Oscar. No more being Mr. Nice Guy. That's not going to work. Like, you're both driving and fighting for your first WDC. You lucked out with Oscar's mistake in Australia. The gap is now 10 points. You've got some time before summer break. Pick it up. We've seen that he is capable. We know he is a capable driver. We know he's a quick driver. He just needs to get his elbows out and take the fight to Oscar right now. The one thing that the 2 of them need to do while they're also battling is to keep in mind that other cars will be catching up. Other teams will be catching up to compete for podium spots. That's number 1. Number 2, Max is still not out of it. Other drivers are still not out of it yet. It's a long season. While yes, they are favorites, if they end up getting into a fit about it between themselves, someone else is just going to sneak by and take the championship away from them. You may never know. Again, for me, it is too early to say anything. I will wait. You know me. I'm patient. I'll wait before I say anything definitive.
BaxtyB, can I respond to Slipstream, please?
Yes, you may. Which comment are you responding to?
The 5 wins, the 2 wins.
Yes.
I want to say to Slipstream that people say that, yes, you can win races, but it matters about the results that if you don't get that win, like if you don't get, how I'm saying it, if you get if you don't get the win, you need to maximize the results. And Lando has maximized those results in the sense that he's, like I mentioned, he hasn't finished lower than 5th this season. He's been on I think this is a podium streak of 6 to 7 races now. Like he's there consistently. Yes, we have criticized him, but he's put himself in a position where he's only 10 points off Piastri. And in the eyes of McLaren, that is too soon to make a number 1 in the team, because there is still a mathematical chance that Lando can still win this championship. Like, and Oscar is one race away, one result away from a DNF that Lando overtakes him like that. Yes, it's Piastri has more wins, but yes, you say Oscar has 8 consecutive podiums, but my point is Lando has put him in a position where he's still in this championship, and he's still making a hard decision for McLaren, because McLaren can't just say, yes, we put all our eggs in one basket. Lando's still in it. And if they do that, they're going to cause some tension in the team, and McLaren don't want to upset the balance in this team. And
the gap is not only 10 points. The gap is only 10 points. It's not that big a gap.
I feel like Rory's a McLaren fan now. I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I've become a McLaren fan by proxy, because Alex Dunn is an Irish driver in F2 and he races for McLaren. So I'm a proxy. In
now
that
we
all
could have a whole
together.
podcast on that boy, by the way. Jesus Christ.
No, it all makes sense.
Yeah, that's why Slipstream. That's why I said I'm not ready to call anything yet, because anything can change in a matter of 2 to 3 races. It's always better to wait until the summer break before you make any definitive calls. And I don't,
especially if you're a Ferrari fan, right?
Hey man. Did we or did we not get 2 podiums in a row?
You are somehow P2 in the constructors, which is just ridiculous.
Somehow
a
double DQ in China. You're P2 in the championship.
My job as a producer.
That's a scam job.
For all the crap that I took from everyone, and all I said was just wait. It's not over. Other teams will catch up. Ferrari will end up on the podium again. Just wait. I got laughed at. I got ridiculed. Sorry. Who's second in the championship right now? Who is sitting down with 2 podiums back to back? I don't
14
see Mercedes
points
anywhere. I don't
you
see
were
Red Bull
14
anywhere.
points.
Sorry, none of that makes any sense to me right now. All I hear is Ferrari.
AJ, at this point, last season, AJ, Ferrari had already 2 wins. You have none.
Hey, man, it's fine. We won the.
This year, you've had 1 sprint win before it all went wrong.
Don't worry, AJ. A rear suspension is going. A new rear suspension is coming for Silverstone. It's going to change everything. It could make the car worse. We don't know yet, but
this is great. I wish that Marshall was here.
Yeah, I know. Fly quickly on.
Listen. All
McLaren.
this Lando praising it just makes me want to vomit, because when Rory says Oscar Piastri is 1 DNF away, well, he is still 10 points behind even after Oscar ran his car off in Australia, and Oscar has figured out his pace and quality. I'm sorry, that to me is the main difference. So beginning of this season, I picked Oscar Piastri to win the championship, because to me, in my personal opinion, I said this last year, his biggest fault was quality. He couldn't get his car ever into the top 3, 4. It was always some type of issues happening, got into traffic the wrong way, wasn't really confident in himself and putting him up there with Lando. I'm not saying Lando's not good, but I feel like Lando had an opportunity to take advantage, and he has not. Yes, great win at Monaco. I'm not saying anything else. He had the pole this weekend, and Oscar's fault last year is not his fault this year. He got right back on it, got the pole, and got the win. To me, there's just, listen, when Rory says Oscar's 1 DNF away, I think Lando's 1 race away as well. It just goes back and forth. But again, I had picked Oscar to win it, and I'm gonna continue to go with Oscar Jack Piastri to win the championship. So
nice.
Here's where I will definitely back Fly on this, and I think again, I don't think any of us disagree or dispute the fact that Oscar has what it takes, because I remember we all had a conversation at some point. I can't remember when, but because I've lost track of the number of conversations.
Was it when we talked about team orders?
it's not just team orders. It's also when we were talking about who do we realistically pick for a drivers' championship between Oscar and Lando. And I think a majority of us said Oscar would be the one in the running for it, unless something gives on Lando's side of things. There is something about Oscar that just speaks.
AJ, I think we had this conversation when we asked ourselves, who can battle Max? Who do we have the confidence that can go out there and get at Max and not be afraid and stick their wing right in the middle of it? You know, I think that was a conversation that we had. And I think we mostly agreed that Oscar has AKA cojones to do it.
Yeah.
But that's another conversation.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. Thanks. I completely spaced on that.
So here's my view on all of this. So I've kind of found a nice way to describe it, that Lando is faster, but Oscar is smarter. And it is those street smarts that is going to get Oscar Piastri the championship this year. Yeah, and Oscar has sorted out his qualifying. And people say, oh, but Oscar's got a delta he's been quicker than Lando this year. Yes, he has. But Lando's made more mistakes in qualifying. Look at what happened in Spain. Lando was quicker in the first run in Q3 and then overdrove on that second qualifying lap. He still improved his time, but not as much. Whereas Oscar stayed cool under pressure. That's why they're now calling him the Ice Boy. It's why I put in the thumbnail, ice in his veins. And that is why, for me, and you have to look at the overtake that he did on Max in Miami. That, for me, is the marker of a champion. And that is why I think he is going to win the championship this year. And quite frankly, yes, I get Rory's argument that, but Max is now further away than he's ever been. And right now, I wouldn't blame them if they made the decision to back Oscar for the time being, to put as much distance between him and Max Verstappen. Because if Max Verstappen gets on a run and can get the momentum like we've seen him do, you want to make sure you've got a buffer. And right now, the guy that can give you that buffer and maximize that is Oscar Piastri, not Lando Norris, because Lando Norris will make mistakes. I like Lando Norris. I want Lando Norris to succeed, but that world championship view, the world champion view of him that so many have of him, that sailed for me last year in Brazil, and he has not done anything this year to prove me wrong.
BaxtyB, do you want to know what moment I saw when I said to myself, Oscar Piastri's confidence is just on another level, even after what happened in Australia? Remember that move he did on Lewis? I believe it was in Saudi. Was it in Saudi? I saw that move, and yes, I think we kind of agree that was not really something he needed to do, but he knew he can do it flawlessly.
Yeah,
he knew he had that millisecond.
The move he did on Lewis in Australia.
That one too.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen moves that, let's be honest here, if it's not Max Verstappen, there's probably nobody else on that grid we can say that can do that besides now Oscar Piastri with that confidence that he has in that car this year. Okay, Charles. Okay.
Charles.
Okay, Charles. Yes, all right. Should have got a penalty for hitting Max, but
Hey, that was not a penalty at all.
Yeah, bro.
I'm not sure, George.
That caused George podium with a bad wing there damage, man.
Okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna throw a call back to what BaxtyB was saying about Oscar being ice cool. He's giving me OG Kimi vibes.
Yeah, but with less of the party boy.
Yeah. That cool,
less character and
more killer.
I was in a call with someone and we were talking about it, and I said we were talking about if McLaren had like the Merc 2016 at Spain, like where they crashed and like that, and I said to them, like, if that happened, it would be the blandest recreation of it, because Lando and Oscar, especially on Oscar's side, it would just be like, lads, we're going to make up. Because Nico and Lewis, it was like they hated each other. It was like Toto probably had to separate them in that cool down room.
Yeah,
but no, I think Oscar was. I think someone in the media asked Oscar like about the Iceman like theory.
He doesn't like it, does he?
He doesn't like it. No. He said like he just dismissed it. He said like that's just me. Like I'm not. Like he doesn't care.
Slipstream shit said the Mika and Kimi love child.
Fair. I had another point on this, but I've forgotten what it is, and we need to move on. So just 2 lines to pick up, I think, that are important to pick up here. Lance Stroll didn't partake in the race. He has a wrist injury. Question if he's going to be fit or not for Canada in a couple of weeks' time. An aggravation of the wrist injury from 2023. And we could see Felipe Drugovich in the car, which would be wonderful. Though he is down to do Le Mans, but I have a feeling he would probably say, "Sorry, Le Mans, I'm off to go and drive an F1 car."
I was going to ask you guys a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an opportunity to drive the 24-hour Le Mans,
Mm-hmm.
right? And all of a sudden you get called for a one-off in F1.
Mm-hmm.
No guarantee that you're going to have a future.
Mm-hmm.
Which would you do? Because for me, I would do the Le Mans no doubt.
Take F1.
I would Le Mans
because the Le Mans is one of the Triple Crown.
It's one of the Triple Crown. Like Drugovich, he's going to be in a decent program. He's in the 31 Wheel Action Express Cadillac, which is decent. Has done decent around Le Mans.
Yeah,
he's been unlucky because of the Cadillac. Now I agree with BaxtyB, do F1 because we saw what the Freeze did in a Williams. Now, of course, that Williams was set up for straight line speed around Monza, and that kind of masked a lot of the kind of masked like the Freeze, like.
But the Aston is not a good car this year.
It's not a good car. I think it's like you could have a sense that you could put yourself do a job, score point. If he scores points in an Aston on his debut, like it puts him in a conversation for a seat, maybe. But
I mean, he's possibly doing the Cadillac drive to get a Cadillac drive next year in F1. But for me, if F1's been your dream, put yourself in the window by driving an F1 car.
And also he also has a Formula E seat. He's apparently due in Berlin in Formula E as well, which is after Le Mans. So if he has to he doesn't want to give up that as well. But I personally, if I was Aston this time, I would sit Stroll out for Canada. I know it's his home race, but if you want this to heal properly, you need to give him time because. He hasn't had much time off to recover, because we've been racing non-stop. You don't an off season, not really an off season. You are training, but it's also you saw it in the Stewart document. The FI basically said to Aston, "Tell us when your driver is hurt," because also on Aston's fault, Lance didn't tell them that he was having issues. He didn't really bring it up at all.
This is the conflicting report, isn't it? Because Aston said he'd been feeling it for 6 weeks, which, I mean, if you've known about that, then why haven't you put Felipe into a couple of FP1s or Stoffel Van Dorn into a couple of FP1s or who are their other reserve drivers? Jess Hawkins, even.
There's Jack Crawford as well, but Crawford
doesn't have the super license points.
Yeah, he can only do FP1s, and he doesn't fulfill the rookie FP1 sessions either because he's done them last year.
Okay, yeah. So you got to give somebody a go. That's kind of my point. You need to have somebody ready to go in case Lance isn't fit. And I think they kind of said that if you did know, then that's ridiculous. There is also another story that apparently he punched something and aggravated the injury. I don't believe that, to be honest with you.
So apparently he was throwing a tantrum.
He was. I think he was upset, but I don't think he broke anything. Because
now we've seen Lance get upset before.
Yeah. We've seen Lance get. We saw what happened to his trainer a year ago. But I do think it is a bit of a. It's conflicting. There's both sides are not. There's something not right in the report. Because the reporter Andrew Benson BBC says something, and the Aston are denied. In this instance, you have to go with the team because the team know it's from a spokesperson. I just think there's something fishy with what's being said, but we can only go on the word.
You know who they will call up? The mullet man himself, Valtteri Bottas.
Oh yeah, because Bottas. Because now I know a lot of teams do it that they share their reserve drivers over. Because of engines now, because Bottas has been doing private testing in the McLaren, because of the Merc deal. So
Mullet man is coming back.
Yeah. If Bottas comes back for a one-off, we're not complaining. Like if he comes back for a race.
Yeah.
Just a quick response to Slipstream though. He is driving in a Cadillac, not in an Aston.
Yes, he's driving in a Cadillac. Yeah.
Yeah.
So last thing, Franco Colapinto. Safe to say, not been good.
No,
Not been good. And Flavio's already putting the screws on, isn't he? Look, this whole situation's been a mess because like we're giving him 5 races. No, we're not giving him 5 races. And then just like, well, he's not doing very well, is he? It's like, I mean, this kid is going to get humiliated. And who are they going to bring Jack back? Are they going to put Victor? I know Victor Martins isn't part of the team anymore, is he?
No, he's in Williams now.
Yes, good move as well.
They messed up. They should have just
Cushminey. They're going to put Cushminey in.
No, I don't think they put more power and will probably get in that car next if it's the case.
Yeah.
Because I don't see Alpine putting Jack back in the car. Like,
Jack was solid.
Like you could have the next Pastor Maldonado in your car.
Mates, it is amazing how where we've been with Alpine after that amazing performance in Brazil, right? And and Oaks and the hit, the walk forward, the new beginning. Oh my God,
Gasly is still performing.
Oh, Gasly has been.
Thank God, but it's just
you're lost in the championship, bro.
Yeah,
you let Sauber. Sauber might not finish last this season because of that result.
Forget competing with Haas and Williams right now, right? Forget Williams and Haas right now. You got Sauber that looks like they got a much better car.
Williams are 5th.
Williams
are 5th. They're having a great season. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
But yeah,
no, because normally Alpine battles with Williams, right? Like they normally basically those 3: Alpine, Haas, and Williams. Those are the 3 that not for the back 2. But even V-Carb, right? Is it still V-Carb?
Yeah, Isaac Hadjar has scored more points.
Hey,
in the last 2 races.
Might be a better Frenchman than Gasly in a couple of years.
Isaac Hadjar has scored more points.
Isaac is Algerian, actually. He's actually Algerian.
Oh, he's Algerian. Yeah. He was really stoked about PSG. I thought he was French, but
he is.
No,
he's French Algerian. Yeah,
French Algerian.
Yeah,
like Mbappe.
Yeah. I actually need to go back to our callback at the start of the season and see who each one of us said.
No Slipstream. Sorry, AJ, but no, that's not happening.
I need to make a callback to one of those episodes.
No, I am not going to revisit that. I am taking it off the library, so you better go back.
I think because I feel like I highlighted Hadjar over the others because.
You didn't pick him for Rookie of the Year, that's for sure.
Not Rookie of the Year, because I said that the attention would be on Ollie and Kimi, likely towards Antonelli. So I went more on where the focus would be of the mass public versus, like, I have my eye on Hadjar and Ollie.
Yeah.
By the way, what a great story it's been for Hadjar. With the mess that happened in Aussie up to now.
Yeah.
Wow.
He scored more points in the last 2 races than Red Bull have. There's a fun fact for you.
He's been super underrated coming into F1. I think people forget how good he was in F2. Or people just didn't pay attention to how good he was in F2. Because
he stalled in the championship race. That's why they don't. And it's Red Bull, so they just assume he's rubbish. But here's my quick question to you guys before we end the pod. Yes or no, does Franco Colapinto see out the season? Fly.
I mean, with the way that the Argentinian fans keep showing up, especially when he doesn't finish races and the money keeps coming in, I just don't think Flavio wants to create any more issues with first reports coming out that he has 5 races. It's like, oh, no, he doesn't have 5 races. That was a misconstrued report. Then you have Jack doing just with a smile on his face every time they show the camera. It just seems like it's becoming more of a Netflix on its own series than it is a F1 team. So you're asking me this question. I really don't know. I have BaxtyB. I really don't know.
I'll take that as a no based on what you said.
Yeah. Just put me down as a no.
Yeah. Rory, yes or no?
I think Colapinto. Well, I definitely think Jack's not getting it back in the car if they do switch. I would say Colapinto will stay in the seat if the Argentinian money keeps coming in. If it doesn't, because the Argentinian money is apparently looks like it's short. It's in Alpine are expecting it to be short, like in being fed into the team because of how the Argentinian economy is. But I do think Colapinto is he needs to find the performance. Like I know, like Jack wasn't this bad in like a sense of performance in results wise compared to Colapinto. I know Colapinto has been thrown in, but like I don't think Colapinto is the issue in this team. It's the management of Alpine. It's like you saw like Flavio, like when Flavio wanted to take criticism because he's made these decisions, like he's put Colapinto in the car. Is he going like he's basically made the whole decisions that like have basically put Alpine in this position. But I think like I saw Flavio saying they want to be championship winning, fighting for a championship in 2027. You couldn't even do a 5-year plan. Like, what is this?
Absolutely fucking not. Sorry, excuse the swear, but yeah, that's not.
By the way, guys, Zizou visited the facility last week, and they made a big Instagram story
because he's
one of the ambassadors.
Yeah, and guess who's car ambassador.
Yeah, and guess who's coming into in a couple of weeks to see them when they hit the stage? It's going to be Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, another bunch of people that invested into this. So they got to start performing, man. By the way, Rory, you talked about investing money. TYC, which is the biggest sports broadcasting company in Argentina, they just invested almost $5 million in creating his own F1 channel just for Franco. So if this does not work, you can see people getting really upset, saying they were promised things, and Alpine can be like, well, I guess we just have to fulfill them because Jack Doohan ain't going to give us $5 million extra right now during in the season that we're going to be competing last for. So that's another thing.
Yeah. Right. AJ, quickly, does Colapinto see out the season?
Money talks. It all depends where the money is.
Okay. So for me, Flavio is on manoeuvres. No, he will not see out the season. And I think somebody else will come in because he has been ass since he came in. He has been ass. Awful. Like genuinely awful since he came in. So yeah.
Give Jack the shot that he deserves, man.
Jack ain't coming back. That's done. That's over. They'll put
Jack the shot he deserves.
Jack's going to the Alpine work team soon. Like he's leaving Alpine altogether and going somewhere else.
Harry, what's the name of the reserve driver? Forgotten. It's not Jack. The other one.
It's Paul Aaron.
Paul Aaron.
No, because now that Ollie Oakes is gone, that's not happening.
Hulkenberg.
Hulk. He drives for Sauber.
Let's go, Hulk.
Isn't it Schwartzman? No, I'm kidding.
I can't remember. Hirikawa, that's it. Thank you, Sushi. Thank you.
No, he's gone.
Giovinazzi.
He's gone to Haas now.
He's gone to Haas, hasn't he? They'll put Kushmini in the car. That's what they'll do. And on that bombshell, time to end this episode of Shifting Happens. A huge thank you to everyone that's joined in. Thank you to Slipstream Merchant in the chat. Thank you to Fly. Thank you to Rory. Thank you to AJ. You can find us on social media. The links are below in the description. We'll do Canada predictions another time. Keep an eye out for those videos on our social media channels. But until next time, guys, stay safe. And we shall speak to you all very, very soon.